yoyo, mashariki magharibi kote, kaskazini na kusini kote, wanyama mbalimbali wa kupendeza, milima na mabonde ya kuvutia. Oweneho Afrika.
And I'm your presenter Ayubu Mzee. This is Swahili Diaries, the program whereby the West learns about Africa and Africa learns about the West, especially the people of the Great Lakes region. Most predominantly, people speak Swahili. Today, our program is taking us to the region of Tanzania. Today, our story goes to Tanzania in East Africa. Tanzania is East Africa's largest country. Our story will revolve around hosting the National Social Security Fund Chief, Dr. Ramadhani Dau. He's here to talk to us about the National Social Security Fund and the WASTAD project. The WASTAD project, this is a project that has been launched in the United States of America, whereby people in the diaspora can be able to make a contribution of around $300 per year to access the benefits. What are the benefits? Some of them are that as long as you are paying £300 per year, you can be, in case of in case of death, your remains can be repatriated, accompanied by one person to Tanzania. Alternatively, or on top of that, you can nominate 4 people in Tanzania who are your relatives and friends, so they can get free national health service and medical services in Tanzania. And this is what he said.
Which is the largest pension fund in Tanzania.
And what is your area of jurisdiction?
As a pension fund in Tanzania, our mandate is to collect contributions from our members, who are predominantly all employees working in the private sector, but also we have a few members who are coming from the parastate organization as well as the central government.
Now, let me say, if I'm a Tanzanian watching this program, what do I expect from, whether I live here in the diaspora back home, what do I expect from the NSSF?
Well, there are so many areas in which a Tanzanian living abroad, or even those who are living in Tanzania, can benefit out of NSSF. Maybe before I answer that question, I should perhaps spend a few minutes to explain to you what is NSSF and what do we stand for. It's a pension fund, as I said earlier. It was established in 1998. Prior to that, we used to have a provident fund, commonly known as NPF, which again was established in 1964. Now, it was in 1998 when the Parliament decided to pass a law in which NPF was transformed into an NSSF, which is a full-fledged pension fund. Now, in terms of areas of jurisdiction compared to the NPF, with NSSF we've got 7 benefits. This is out of the ILO Convention 102 of 1952. The convention stipulates 9 benefits, out of which NSSF offers 7 of them. Now, in terms of our activities, basically they are divided into 3. One is to register members, as I said, from the private sector as well as government employees and parastate organizations. Contributions from them, which is 10% from the wages of an employee and 10% from the employer. And then after collecting the contributions, we invest them in different areas of investment avenues, which is divided into short-term as well as long-term investments, things like listed equities, FDRs, infrastructure, and recently we have embarked ourselves into investing in energy sector. And then finally, we pay benefits to our members. As I said, we pay 7 benefits, which are divided into short-term and long-term benefits. So basically, briefly, this is what is NSSF all about. We register our members, collect contributions, invest the contributions, and finally, we pay benefits.
Now, there's been some allegations that people have not been, the NSSF has not been performing its objectives. How true is that?
In terms of what?
In terms of people not getting paid either in time, or even their payments being delayed, and some people don't even get paid.
That is not true. You see, there have been some complaints in some section of the public that there are some delays in getting the payments of their pension. And I remember way back in year 2009, I think, if my memory serves me right, whereby we did challenge the public, both through the national television as well as national radio and the newspapers, that let someone come forward and tell us that, look, I am Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, I have filed my benefit on this date, and it took more than 2 weeks to get me to get paid. Because in our customer service charter, it is clearly stipulated that from the date when the claim has been filed, it has to be settled within 2 weeks. And I can tell you, to this date, nobody has come forward to complain or to give evidence that he has been paid beyond the 2 weeks that are stipulated in the customer service charter. What we have instead is people coming to us complaining that it has taken months, it has taken months. Yeah, so instead you have people coming to our offices complaining that it has taken more than 2 weeks for them to get paid. But then if you look at the papers that he submits, there are so many inconsistencies. In some cases, most of the information is not given. And how can we pay? Because it is our duty to make sure that the claims that are being filed are bona fide claims, and we do pay to bona fide payees. I'll give you one example. Every year, we have what we call NSSF Week, in which we have different activities, trying to explain our activities to the general public. One of which is all the senior management, including myself. We go to one of the offices, either in Dar es Salaam or in the regions, and we do sit in the counter to serve our members. And I remember vividly in one of those days, I think it was about 3 years ago, whereby I went to Temeke office, and I found a lot of people at the counter waiting to be served. So I asked one of them, how long have you been here for? And he told me, look, I came here since morning. What is the problem? He said, I'm following up my payments. It has taken more than 3 months since I put up the claim and haven't been paid. Upon closer examination of the file, what I came to realize, and this is something which is very, very predominant, what I came to realize was, to start with, when we register our member, we normally take 3 names. The first name, the second name, and the third name. We also take the mother's name. Now, for instance, if someone comes today, he says, my name is Ramadhani Dau. My mother is Safia Juma, at the time of registration. Now, a few years further down the line, when he comes to make a claim, he fills out a claim form in which he says, my name is Ramadhani Ahmed Dau. Now, Ramadhani Dau is different from Ramadhani Ahmed Dau. Or, in some cases, you have the 3 names correctly, but then the mother's name is given as a different name. Sometimes even the birth date is different. On one form, at the time of registration, he will tell you I was born in 1970, let's say 1961. At the time when he comes to make a claim, when he fills out the claim form, he says that he was born in 1952. Now, which is which? Now, in those situations, we have to conduct a very thorough investigation to make sure that this person who is putting up a claim is the same member whom we have registered some few years ago. So in situations like those, naturally, it will take more than 2 weeks. But otherwise, we have challenged people in the national radio and television to come forward, and we even said, if someone can come and produce evidence that he was paid beyond the normal 2 weeks, we'll pay him 1 million shillings. And to this date, I can tell you, nobody has picked the challenge.
Now let's go to investment areas that you're involved in.
Well, as I said, our investment portfolio is very diversified. We have long-term investment as well as short-term investment. Of course, the portfolio is constructed in such a way that we have to match our assets and liabilities, because some of our liabilities are in the short term, in which case we have to have some of the resources invested in short-term instruments. And of course, we have to meet long-term obligations, in which case we have also to take long-term position in the investments. Now, typically we invest in things like FDRs, we have things like TEBs, real estate. As I said earlier, we are now thinking of investing into energy sector, infrastructure like Kigamboni Bridge, and other areas. What I can say is that it's a very, very balanced and diversified portfolio.
Now let's talk about Kigamboni Bridge. How far are you, and how do you think the people are going to benefit out of this project? And is it feasible?
Kigamboni Bridge, if you look at it purely from the economics point of view, of course, it will open up Kigamboni, and it will help to steer economic development not only of Dar es Salaam, but also of the country. But in terms of NSSF, it's going to be a toll bridge, because more often than not, people keep asking me, why would NSSF invest in a bridge? How are you going to get your money back? It's going to be a toll bridge, and the arrangement that we have with the government is that we are going to charge toll for 25 years, after which we are going to turn over the bridge to the government. And then it will be up to the government whether to run it for free or to continue with the tolls. Now, why NSSF wants to invest in Kigamboni Bridge? Historically, our interest into Kigamboni Bridge started way back in 2002. And the idea was we were planning to build low-cost houses for our members. We had a pilot project in a place called Kinyerezi, which is very close to the airport, and it was very, very successful. So we were planning to replicate that program into other areas in Dar es Salaam. Now, if you look at the geography of Dar es Salaam, the Kilwa Road, the closest place where you can get a very good chunk of land is a place called Kisemvule, which is about 24 kilometers from Nazi Moja. On the Morogoro Road side, the closest place where you can get large pieces of land is close to Kibaha, which again is too far. The same applies to Bagamoyo. The closest is beyond Bunju and Boko, which we consider to be too far. The only place where we could get good enough land and reasonably close to Dar es Salaam city was Kigamboni. But then the challenge was, if we were to build houses in Kigamboni, how are we going to get people to across the creek? With the current ferry arrangement, it would have not been feasible. And the houses that we are going to build in Kigamboni would have not been attractive. So that is how we got involved into the Kigamboni Bridge.
Now, what is the time scale here? What are we looking at?
As we speak, the contractor is on site since February this year, and the construction time is going to be 30 months. So we do hope that by the first quarter of 2015, the bridge will be commissioned.
Now, let's look at